Today's episode of Take a Seat is all about workplace culture, inclusion and growth, and we're delighted to welcome our guest Carol Hamilton, Vice President of the Global Project Management Office at NCR Atleos. Carol leads all customer-facing projects with rollouts globally, heading up a team of more than 600 project management professionals across the world. She's been with NCR for over 20 years, building an incredibly broad career across marketing, product management, business operations and sales, and even spending time on the customer side at Tesco Bank. Alongside her global responsibilities, Carol is also Deputy Site Leader in Dundee, where she's passionate about creating an inclusive workplace culture, one that supports people with hugely different service lengths, from long-standing colleagues to interns and graduates just starting out. In today's conversation, we'll be talking about how NCR Atleos has evolved its intern and graduate programmes, the success of collaborations with University of Dundee and Abertay University, and what it takes to build a culture where people feel valued, connected and able to thrive. And as NCR celebrates its 80th anniversary this year, this feels like the perfect moment to reflect on the past, the present and what's next. So, Carol, take a seat. Welcome, and thank you for coming along and taking the time to sit and tell us a little bit more.
Excellent. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. We said in the introduction, and we've talked an awful lot with NCR about those intern and graduate schemes and how working with the universities and even schools is about helping to drive interest in STEM. So tell us a wee bit more about that.
Yeah, so this year was a very exciting year for our grad and intern programme. So we had 33 graduates and 18 interns, so over 50 overall coming into the programme this year. And we've really been building it up over the last sort of 6 or 7 years to try and make it better and better. And really what we want is our interns to come back and, be really happy and impressed with everything they've seen, and also to have, I think, really meaningful work as part of an internship. So in terms of our intern programme, our interns all get a very specific project to work on. And then at the end of the internship time, we have what we call the Intern Expo. And so they all come together and have a sort of stand in our canteen, and then all of our employees come down and talk to the interns about what they've been working on. And what we hear from them is that they really love working on something that's meaningful. So these are projects that are quite often taken forward, that are further developed, that are used, post internship. Sometimes we have them coming back and working, maybe 1 day a week as they finish their studies. And then ideally, the ones that like us and that we like come back as graduates. So we've really worked hard to kind of build up that programme. And a few of them have kind of said, it's great to be actually working on something that's making a difference, that's meaningful, that's going to, drive change in the business, for example. And they say things like, I know somebody that's doing an internship somewhere and they're mainly making teas and coffees and maybe doing administrative tasks. So I think, one thing we've really found is that actually you can really push these programs probably more than you think. You can give more complex projects to the interns. And as I say, it's really for us about building that funnel of excellent talent that we see coming through and hopefully them coming back as graduates. And this year, actually, over 50% of our grads and interns were from Dundee University. So we've done a lot to build relationships with the local universities to try and make sure, that we want to be an employer of choice in the region. We want to be somewhere that, that our young people want to work in. So building those relationships, with the universities has made a big difference. But we've also done a lot with local schools to try and get in at grassroots level as well.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. The Chamber, like your organisation, we've been kind of working with the universities, and I know how difficult it can be. You kind of, when the call comes out for, a project for an internship, you think, oh great, I'll kind of design something. And then that was August, you kind of forget about it. They do their student recruitment, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the students are starting soon. Have we got really kind of proper, meaningful work for them to do? So do your internships follow that same kind of programme, does it fit in with the kind of the timings of the university, or have you designed something that's got a different timing around that?
Yeah, so we do work closely with the universities to make sure the dates work. And actually within NCR Atleos corporate, there's a wider grad and intern programme, but all the dates are different because in the US and Serbia, when the students are coming off and having their holidays is all different. So while we try and keep consistency globally across the programs, we have to make it make sense for us, locally here in Dundee. So we very much drive to dates that will meet our graduates here. But then a lot of the pieces of the program are the same. So for example, in their first week, with the grads and interns, they have a full induction program that is quite consistent globally. So that people coming in are getting the same type of experience. And for example, our executive leadership team based in Atlanta, they'll do a video call with our new grads and interns, talk to them about the company, take their questions, etc. So, no one's missing out on those elements depending on when the dates are. So I think a lot of what we try and do at NCR Atleos in Dundee is, take what we can from the great stuff that's going on corporately, but make it work for what we have here in terms of our local culture, what we have here in the UK. So it's kind of, trying to always have that balance.
And do your internships tend to follow the same kind of pattern? So I know that when we do it, it tends to be a sort of a weekly time that they'll come into our business. So they maybe come in an afternoon over, say, 12 or 14 weeks and kind of run it like that. Are yours like that, or are they much shorter and sharper?
They are full time over I think it's the 12-week period. And as I say, they are very much project based. So we make sure that all of the interns have something really meaningful and meaty to get stuck into. And as I say, I think having that presentation at the end, being able to talk about what they've done, and it's competitive as well. So we vote on who has the best project. So, to be honest, we're actually always blown away by the quality and talent that we see coming out and what can be achieved in such a short space of time. And I think as well, for me being obviously number of years into work life, thinking back to the way I was when I started as a an intern or a graduate, but the level of confidence that we see now from the interns and grads, what they're able to present and put across is really fantastic. And then we're also able to learn from them as well. So some of the skills that they're able to bring in around AI, new technologies, etc. I think that works really well. We are obviously a very established business, 80 years this year here in Dundee, which is super exciting. And we've got a lot of very knowledgeable, experienced people. But I think what the great thing is that, you've got that knowledge and experience on one side, in terms of our industry experience coming together with all of the new skills, new technology aspects that the interns and grads bring. And I think it's a really good mix. Everyone can always learn.
Yeah.
And the two kind of sides of the coin can learn from each other.
Yeah. And so we had an event. We were very lucky to be hosted by NCR for one of our round tables not that long ago, and we were discussing, lots of different things, but we were discussing leadership and culture and inclusion. And I know that is something that is very dear to the sort of the leadership heart, but not just at leadership level. You've got kind of, different levels of team members that kind of drive a lot of that culture and inclusion. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so one thing we did in Dundee was, we were taking a look at how do we try and make everyone feel part of NCR Atleos Dundee, part of the culture. And we want, we've got excellent employees. We want them to want to stay with the company for a long time. And so one of the things that we pulled together was the culture cruise. So rather than coming up with what we think that people would like on site and kind of driving that top down, it was more about getting people involved across the business. And so there's a number of different, we call them culture crews, in different areas that people can join in with. And they also run events and things like that. So we've got ones that you would probably expect around employee engagement that look at sort of social events. But then we have, for example, the training and development culture crew. So they're looking at, what are the needs across the business? What do people want to be trained in? What do people want to understand? And one of the things they've done that, I think you could do, to be honest, at any size of company is lunch and learn. So we run monthly lunch and learn. So for us, we have different departments that will come and talk about what they're doing, but we also have special interest topics. So I mentioned AI, that was one that we did and it was so oversubscribed. We're going to run another one. And it was just, two of our employees that are really passionate about AI, talking about, how they're using it in their day-to-day work and in their day-to-day life, giving, tips, hints, how we use the tools that are already available to us to help in that area. So I think that's something that, any workplace can do. There's always people that want to share what they're doing. And that's, again, one thing that we heard from employees is they want to know more about what others are doing across the company. And I think that's a really great way of doing it.
I heard the sports element's a bit competitive.
Yeah, so we did last summer, we did the Discovery Games. So we split all the departments into kind of 4 houses, and then ran a whole series, from, fun runs to quiz nights to kind of bowling, all sorts of different competitions. And then we had a kind of running leaderboard for a few months. So yeah, it did get a bit competitive. But again, I think a good fun way to bring people together, drive a bit of competition, but because people are doing it within their own departments, allowing them to build, more relationships socially with them as well. And ultimately, we want people to come to work and have fun and be happy. We spend a lot of our life at work. And so, we do want to bring that element of fun, of the social aspect. And we always kind of talk about NCR Dundee being like a family, and it does have that kind of family feel. And we want to bring our new employees, whether they be experienced employees or graduates and interns, into that, and to let them, be able to be themselves at work, and then hopefully build good friendships and lasting relationships and want to stay with us for the long term.
And how did the Christmas lunch service go?
Yeah, so when you were in was the same week as the Christmas lunch. So we do all of our employees in 3 days, so over 600 people in 6 different sittings, and our leadership team we all serve. So yes, it's very well attended. And again, people can sit with their teams, have a bit of a chat and a bit of downtime. But it's what a very, it's a busy time of year. But yeah, we always get extremely good feedback, and our canteen do a great job serving all of those people within 3 days. They probably need a lie down by the end of the week.
Absolutely. So the other thing that we were hearing when we visited was about the 80th anniversary, and I definitely have to confess that although know of NCR, I was really quite surprised by some of the kind of the milestones in the history. So tell us a wee bit about some of that background, but what are the plans? What you can share about the anniversary?
We're so super proud of our history and legacy here in the city of Dundee, and there's so many people who know NCR from years gone by. I talk to people all the time who maybe worked there years ago, or they go, my dad, my grandpa, my uncle, my neighbour worked there. So it's been a significant presence in the city over all of that time. And so we're so proud of that history and that legacy. So there's a few things that we've kind of got planning. Certainly we are going to do something that involves the community, because as I say, there is so much history there, and I think people are still really interested in what we're doing today, but also sharing their stories from the past. So it's still kind of in the planning, so I can't share everything at the moment, but there will definitely be something that's within the community to have a celebration. And then through the year as well, internally for our employees, we're going to do a number of different events to celebrate. And again, we want people to be able to share their stories. We've got lots of old photos and old memorabilia, which we love to get out and share, and people love to reminisce. So I think it's just really exciting. And, obviously as a kind of a company that's been here for a long time, we've had to change and reinvent ourselves, but we're still so proud of our history. And, we love to talk about it. We love to share, and we want to get everyone's memories. So as I say, we'll be sharing more as the year goes on, but we'll certainly be involving the wider community in the celebration.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it? And I mean, obviously, a lot of people will probably still talk about NCR as NCR or the cash if you've been around in Dundee for a long time. But NCR Atleos is a relatively new kind of update, I guess, for the company. So what has that meant for the presence in Dundee?
Yeah, so the company split about, I think it's about 2 years ago now. And basically NCR before was, extremely large corporation, and you've probably seen things like self-checkouts and tills with the NCR name on them, as well as, ATMs, and we do a lot on the banking technology side. And our leadership team at the time thought to separate into 2 separate companies that were a bit more focused on their core markets was the right thing to do. And to be honest, for us in Dundee, it's just been absolutely fantastic because our history is in the banking technology side, the ATM technology side. And so our site now is completely focused on that. So really we are the kind of core R&D centre now for what is called NCR Atleos. And NCR Voyix, which was the other half of the company, is more focused on the retail, the hospitality segment. So it just means we can be a little bit more focused on our customers, on our core market. But we're very much, we're friendly, we're cousins. It wasn't a divorce.
Yeah.
It was a separation, but we still talk to our employees and ex-colleagues on the other side. But yeah, for us as a site in Dundee, it's been really positive. We're one of the core strategic sites for NCR Atleos. And I'd say, our employees are just really excited about, the kind of future for the site and for the company, and Dundee being a really core part of that.
Yeah, and a lot of your work covers other areas of the world, doesn't it? So you'll work with teams in other parts of the world. So that must be quite exciting, but very different for some of your employees, I guess.
Yeah, so we are completely global, and we sell technology all across the world. So, most of the team in Dundee will be dealing with people and colleagues and customers in different countries, different regions every single day. So it's really interesting and really exciting, to talk to others across the world and to understand, some of the challenges and issues that we see in other geographies as well. When you think about ATM technology, it needs to be able to work in the desert. It needs to be able to work in extremely cold temperatures. And so, we need to consider all of that as an R&D site when we're developing the technology. But
so huge thanks for coming and talking about your day job and what kind of goes on in your part of the world. It's really interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the 80th anniversary, that's for sure. So just thinking about a set of questions that we do with all of our guests. They're called key questions based on our location today. So what's the one piece of advice you wish you'd known at the start of your career?
Oh, that's a good one. I think, to be honest, not being scared to try new things or to jump into something different. So I've worked at NCR for a long time, but I've had a lot of different roles. I feel like I've been at different companies because I've done so many different things. And I think the first time that maybe you're given that opportunity and someone says, can you help with this? Quite often you can think, well, what do I know about that? How can I help? But the best way you can learn and grow is to jump into those opportunities. You learn so much. Sometimes it can be those most difficult and stressful times that it feels like at the time when you are working through challenging situations, that's actually when you learn the most. And so I'd absolutely say to anybody who's early in their career, take those opportunities. Let people know that you're looking to grow and that you're looking to try something different and that you want to expand on what you're doing today. And that's when I think you'll get the real opportunities in your career.
Great. What's one issue that keeps you up at night?
Oh gosh, lots of issues that keep me up at night. I think I've got a very global role, and working with lots of different countries, we always see challenges, especially when you're running, we run projects. So there's always challenges running projects. So I guess, just making sure that things are running smoothly, that we're me and my team, we've always run into challenges, but that we're dealing with them as best we can. And I think from my side, always keeping the customers informed. So, issues will always happen, but if people are aware of them, if you keep them abreast of what's going on and they know that you're working on them, that they're in safe hands, I think that's the main thing. So I think just really communication is always the main side of things. You're never going to get away from experiencing challenges and issues, but the main thing you can do, I think, with customers is be open about it, let them know what the challenges are and how you're working to address them. So that's maybe how I try and stop myself being up at night by approaching challenges in that way.
Brilliant. And if NCR Atleos had a theme song, what would it be?
Well, that's a good one. Let me think. Firstly, maybe we should create one. Is now what I'm thinking for our 80th year. But what we used actually in our end of year kind of celebration, we put together all the pictures from all our events and everything we've been doing, was the Yes Sir, I Can Boogie. So for NCR Atleos Dundee, that would probably be our theme song. So
brilliant, and that really ties well in, doesn't it, in our World Cup celebrations and whatever that's going to look like over the summer. So
I know.
Looking forward to hearing
exciting
more of that.
times this year, hopefully.
I know, fingers crossed. Great. Well, huge thanks for joining us. It's been really interesting. I've really enjoyed sitting down and getting the chance to kind of hear a wee bit more and be able to share that with everybody that's listening. So it's definitely obvious that your experience shows us that strong workplace cultures don't happen just by accident. They're built through intention, inclusion, and a genuine focus on people. So I know people will have listened today and be able to take away lots of things that they can think will work for them or in their workplaces. So thanks so much. From creating an environment where colleagues with decades of experience work alongside interns and graduates just starting out, to evolving programmes that invest in future talent and build connections with local universities, this conversation's a reminder that culture is something that you shape every day. And as NCR Atleos marks its 80th anniversary, it's clear that putting people at the heart of the organisation is what allows a culture and a business to stand the test of time. Thanks for listening to Take a Seat. There are more episodes coming soon, so keep an eye on our socials for what's next. See you then.